All right, today we're going to be learning Skräplandschottis. It's more of a modern schottis written by Mikael Marin. He's Swedish and from the trio Vasen. And schottisches are in, you can think of them in 2/4/4/4. It's like a slower polka with a pretty dotted rhythm. So you'll feel each beat 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and pretty heavy. And that has to do with the way that the dance is danced. So these are your feet. And the rhythm's kind of 1, 2, 3, hop, 1, 2, 3, hop, 1, hop, 2, hop. So you kind of feel this in the music. So I'll play it through and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even though it feels a little bit weird, especially without the accompaniment, I'm going to show you the chord chart just for a second. Notice that a lot of times the chord changes in the middle of a measure, and that almost tricks your ear into thinking that this is the downbeat. But it's actually just a regular 16 measure tune here, or well, each part is. So that's that. Let's get started with the first part. So right on the downbeat from the beginning, here's the first phrase. One more time. Now, Swedish music has all sorts of ornamentations, and I am by far an expert in them. But one really easy one you can add in is a hammer-on, and this works really well going up to that B. See how I hang on to the A for a second, and then also going up to the E, and then slightly later in the phrase. Okay, so that's phrase 1. And now the next phrase, the downbeat actually happens over a tie. This also gives it a little bit of a quirky feel here. So it's like 4, 1. So I'm just going to start on the downbeat of that measure, which comes from a tie. But we have, starting on E, again, so let's try those first 2 phrases together. Ready? Go. One more time. Ready, go. Now, as in a lot of tunes, we play that first measure, the first phrase again, but we actually tie again that beat 4 into beat 1. So just this time you don't re-articulate the G. We hold the E over and then go to the G. So. Or sorry, hold over the A. 4, 1, 2, 3. And then we're into the ending phrase, which again ties a little bit, but starting on the downbeat of phrase 4. Very familiar, friendly ending that's in a lot of different American fiddle tunes as well. First 4 notes, and then put it together. I played it wrong just a second ago. There's just one G at the end. So we have this little, a little bit of a lift to go back into the downbeat. So the ending again. To the top. One more time. Now the second part is really a lot of different arpeggios kind of strung together. So we start with a couple pickup notes that lead into the downbeat of phrase 1 of the second part, which is an E minor triad. And then when we go to the next one, it's the only note we're going to change is the E to a D. So we have, and here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. As a fiddle player, we have to do C to G, then to A. So add those three together. Then the next one is D, F sharp, G. So that whole phrase, and now the next phrase starts on the G. Again. Now the next phrase, here are the pickups, but then the phrase starts on this low C. It's a little bit awkward. There's your C triad. Then we go up to a D triad. And then now we kind of do a little scale thing up and back down. I like to add a little bit of a cut right there. So that phrase we just did. And the final phrase, we go back down and do the C triad to the D. And then just a little G. So here's that whole second part, the first phrase. Then the second phrase. Third phrase. And the final phrase. Put it together. So one quick note to you bowed instruments is with this rhythm, it's really hard to stay in one spot of the bow, and also slurs can break it up a little bit. So I like to do slurs of 3 in there that I think sound pretty nice with the style. For instance, here. So it tends to be, if you had, say, 4 notes, it tends to be the second, third, and fourth note that you tie together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3. It could go really a lot of places, but I recommend that to break up all the separate notes. Let's try it from the very beginning. Each part is repeated. 1, 2, 3, 4.